From John Brower Minnick to Charity Pierce, here are the most obese people in the world. John Brower Minnick was an American who was obese since childhood. When he wanted to stand up, for example, he had difficulty standing because his weight was extremely high. Imagine that at one point in his life, John's weight was close to 635 kilograms. Of course, this meant that he had to deal with various health problems such as heart and respiratory problems, which put his life in danger at all times. For all these reasons, John started a diet that he followed for almost 2 years, which allowed him to lose 419 kilograms. An impressive weight loss. The young man weighed only 216 kilograms. Of course, following a very strict diet of no more than 1,200 calories per day was a real challenge and a real sacrifice for John, but he could only congratulate himself when he saw that he achieved his goal. John Brower Minnick died a few years later, but thanks to his dramatic weight loss, he has since held the record for the world's thinnest man. The Mexican Juan Pedro Franco is on the list of the most famous obese people in the world. He wanted to live his life in an ordinary way, like any other young man of his age. But it was impossible for him because his weight simply prevented him from moving normally and he was stuck in bed. However, over time, the young man, who in 2017 was named the fattest man in the world by the Guinness Book of World Records, decided to undergo a series of quite complex treatments, but also surgeries that allowed him to lose a lot of weight. Of course, he lost his Guinness title with it, but this did not prevent Juan Pedro Franco from enjoying a better health later on. He even managed to beat the coronavirus, although his case made him a person at risk. Today, after losing weight, Juan Pedro Franco has become a person who feels good about himself and more independent. On the women's side, the Egyptian Iman Ahmed Abed El-Ati was considered the heaviest woman in the world. But this young woman, who weighed 500 kilos at one point in her life and who had not left her home for several years, wanted to get rid of this excessive weight that made her life very difficult. Although the surgery was a risk for her, Iman traveled to the city of Mumbai, India to undergo bariatric surgery. Thanks to the surgery, she was finally able to lose over 300 kg. However, complications soon arose due to heart and kidney problems. Unfortunately, the young woman died in the United Arab Emirates, where she had been transferred after surgery, but not without having achieved her dream of losing weight. Iman Ahmed Abed El-Ati passed away with a light body, and she will always be remembered by all those who followed her news and participated in the online campaign that was meant to help her. Like many overweight people, Paul Mohsen has also been in the news. Having lived for several years in a hospital, the British man, who is now 60 years old, did not want to spend the rest of his life in the hospital, and he did not want to end his life that way either. But unfortunately, his case did not bode well. According to the doctors, only bariatric surgery could help him live longer and leave the hospital to return to a normal and healthy life. Paul had no choice but to undergo gastric bypass surgery, a surgical procedure designed to reduce the size of his stomach. Thanks to this miraculous operation, which was performed in 2010, this man began to lose weight, dropping from 445 kilograms to 121 kilograms. A real achievement. And then, icing on the cake, the story of Paul Mohsen relayed by the media even allowed him to meet his soulmate on social networks. Unfortunately, this experience, which was supposed to bring him a lot of happiness for the rest of his life, made him very sad because his relationship with his fiancée finally ended in a breakup. Of course, this did not help Paul, whose weight started to climb again because of his depression. But fortunately, the Briton took matters into his own hands by deciding to undergo therapy that would help him control his weight again. A courageous decision that has made him a role model and an inspiration to many people who have been through a painful ordeal or who need comfort. A decade ago, a young man in Saudi Arabia named Khalid bin Mohsen Shaari weighed 610 kilos and was considered the heaviest living person in the world. Being able to be self-sufficient and not depend on anyone was his greatest wish. Unfortunately, the young man had only a tiny hope of seeing his dream come true one day. Unable to move, Khalid remained in bed for 3 years until one fine day in August 2013, when he was picked up and transferred to a hospital in the capital city of Riyadh on the orders of the late King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia for surgery. The operation was a success, and thanks to it, Khalid was able to lose some 320 kilograms, more than half of his weight. Even the condition of his organs and muscles had improved. Of course, this recovery required a lot of time and patience, especially since he still needed help to move or sit up. However, his health was improving steadily, and Khalid showed a strong morale and willpower that helped him to regain his autonomy little by little, such as being able to move his feet and walk again. Today, thanks to the treatments and the dietary and physical programs that he followed, but also thanks to the surgical operations that were intended to remove the excess skin, the young man is not the same person as before, since he now weighs only 68 kilos. Here is a real change that has completely metamorphosized him. Manuel Uribe was a young Mexican man who lived in Monterrey, in the state of Nuevo León, Mexico, and who lived life to the fullest. This man, who had also worked in the United States, had many dreams that he wanted to fulfill. However, there was a problem. Manuel Uribe was overweight. As a teenager, the young Mexican weighed 115 kilos, but from 1992 onwards, his weight increased steadily until it reached 597 kilograms. Because of his obese condition, Manuel Uribe was bedridden for years, relying on the help of his mother and friends and rarely leaving his house, like on his wedding day. His record weight, however, has made him known around the world, and he even holds the Guinness World Record for the fattest man in the world. But if his weight allowed him to break the record, it unfortunately caused his death, although he was able to lose weight at one point. Manuel Uribe suffered from morbid obesity and health problems that eventually caused his death in May 2014 at the age of 48. Today, this young man no longer has to suffer from his excessive weight, but his memory and his smile that showed his joy of life will remain unforgettable forever. Arya Parmana is a 16-year-old boy who lives in a small village on the island of Java, Indonesia. A few years ago, when this teenager wanted to go to school or to join his friends to have fun with them, for example, he had great difficulty because of his obesity. It may seem hard to imagine, but at the age of 11, this young boy weighed 192 kilos, which was a huge weight for his age. To overcome this problem, Arya underwent bariatric surgery, and he had to follow a strict diet and exercise every day, which helped him lose a lot of weight. It is true that it was not easy for Arya, who had to deprive himself of many good things, but the young boy eventually got used to it and had a healthy lifestyle. Today, Arya has changed a lot and his body has slimmed down impressively, and we can say that he is very proud of himself nowadays, as evidenced by his pictures that have made the rounds on the web. Bravo, Arya! Ashley Dunn Bratcher, also known as Ashley D, a young American from Karens, Texas, first appeared on the American reality series My 600-Pound Life. Married and mother of a little boy, Ashley had only one motivation: to lose weight, to lead a normal life, and especially not to count on her child's help anymore. This was almost utopian for this young mother, who did almost nothing all day, until the day she started following the advice of a famous doctor. Daily exercise, a strict diet, and gastric bypass surgery were on Ashley D's agenda, and she finally managed to lose weight. However, the painkillers she had to take due to her surgery ended up causing her to develop an ulcer and lead to other health problems that caused her weight to increase again. Ashley D had to suffer, certainly, but today, all seems to return in order for this young woman who weighed before a little more than 317 kilograms. Indeed, the young Texan has regained the self-confidence, and moreover, she seems to lead a much better life than before. Thanks to her inspiring story, Ashley D has become a role model for many people suffering from obesity. We're going to tell you about Drew, a 43-year-old American man who was living an ordinary life, not really paying attention to his ever-growing body. But one day, when he wanted to weigh himself, something he hadn't done for more than a decade, this man was surprised to discover that his weight was over 300 kilos, which finally made him furious. To top it all off, this former athlete also discovered during a medical exam that he had high blood pressure, diabetes, and sleep apnea. But don't panic, said Drew. Fully aware that the cause of his obesity was poor diet and lack of exercise over a long period of time, Drew went on a diet, a necessary step before he could undergo surgery. While he was able to lose the weight, it took a great deal of patience and effort for Drew to resist the temptation to eat what he used to eat. However, he was able to overcome this temptation with the support of his nutritionist. In fact, through diet and exercise, Drew is not as fat as he used to be. That must be a big boost to his morale. And we end with Shaari Pierce, one of the heaviest women in the world. This American woman, who weighed more than 360 kilos, hoped to die rather than live this way, as she herself once said. It must also be said that Charity Pierce also suffered from many problems in her personal life, including the incipient obesity of her own daughter. However, the life of this young woman took another turn when she participated in the American reality series My 600-Pound Life. Under the care of specialists, Charity Pierce underwent gastric bypass surgery, which allowed her to lose about 180 kilos. However, this physical change would have brought about a change on the psychic level as well, because this woman started to suffer from other problems. But Charity Pierce is a fighter, and her ability to cope with life's difficult challenges helped her to overcome her problems once again, including when she was diagnosed with kidney cancer. Through her courage and strong will, Charity Pierce has become a model of bravery and success. We wish her the best of luck in the future. Now, let us know in the comments if you know of any other obese people who aren't on this list. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.